And let's see what these players feel like playing on for the battle for Division 4. You still think Nova, Legend, and LSD could have beaten Team Hazy? Was it Team Hazy that didn't win a single game? That was unfortunate. That was unfortunate. Okay, Nova starts out with Shoals. Okay, and Immersion for Yomi. There we go. These are the maps I wanted to see. Nothing against the previous players who got us Serengeti, Aftermath, and Outcrop. Or not Outcrop. Runestones. But I'm glad to see some water. Ban's hyper random though. Interesting. There aren't too many players that pick the water maps and then ban hyper random. But Nova doesn't want the randomness, I suppose. I don't know what Yomi favors. I watch all of Yomi's games and I don't really know. I still don't fully know what Yomi likes and what he doesn't. No Akare, okay. Yomi's one of those players that can kind of play everything, I think. Maybe won't favor the super aggro maps, Akare and like Sunburn. Maybe that's where Yomi's going to try and limit the map pool. Nova goes Aftermath. Outcrop, okay, interesting. Yeah, no hyper random. Two sets in a row where hyper random gets banned, and we get Serengeti instead of what? What was the other option? Fez. Bad luck. That's just bad luck. We could have had a Fez here, and it would have been a great map pool, but oh well. So we still get Serengeti, Aftermath, and Runestone, same as last set. We just get Shoals and Immersion instead of Sunburn and Akare. So what started out as a great map draft turned into an okay one. Zhao versus Man is the remaining match we really need to see. That's hype. That'll be hype for sure. That will for sure be hype. Okay, so we've got a couple water maps and then our standard maps. Interesting. Very few sets have had Shoals and Immersion in them. Usually one player wants to play these water maps and one bans them out. If that, or both players ban them out. Alright, let's see these civs. More admin bans up here, where the air is thinner. No Kumans or Goths or Magyars. Pretty impactful admin bans so far. Actually, hugely impactful admin bans so far. Holy, look at these admin bans. Okay, Hindustanis are the first truly bad DM civ. Probably. Ooh, Poles. Okay, no Dravidians, sad. Shu, alright. It balances out a little bit, but there are a lot of big-time civs in these admin bans. Bengalis, Slavs, Koreans, Magyars, Kumans. All big hits. And, you know, Vietnamese, Dravidians, Teutons, Japanese, even Britons. Britons is kind of a big hit here. They're one of the better water civs after, like, your Chinese and Spanish and Turks. So, alright. Oh yeah, Jurchens as well. I always forget about the Jurchens. They're one of the better water civs, but they're always banned out. The Jurchens never see play because they're always banned out. What civs are left? Chinese and Spanish are still available. Okay, Nova is doing the I don't own the DLC bans. Yomi is doing the I don't want to face really good SO bans. So this will be woo. For Nova, surely. Complete the full set of banned DLC civs. What are players gonna do? What will players do when the new DLC comes out? There aren't enough bans to keep banning out all the new civs. Eventually you start after choosing your battles, right? I've never seen more straightforward chosen bans in my life. Yomi is just knocking off all of the best SO civs one after another, and Nova is just banning all of the DLC civs. Probably don't need to ban the Katans, especially, but you know what, it's fine. So it should be double Chinese. I honestly wouldn't mind double Chinese, double Spanish here. Oh, Berbers as well. Portuguese? I don't know about that one, Nova. I really don't know about that one, Nova. Alright, Yomi gets the Spanish, the Berbers, and the Chinese as the first 3 civs, which is insane. Nova gets the Portuguese and the Georgians. Portuguese second overall pick. Alright. Okay. Let's see. Yomi gets the Huns. So Yomi's fine on water civs now. Yomi has arguably the 3 best civs for these water maps. So now Yomi gets to just sit back and choose the best regular civs for these other maps, Aftermath, Serengeti, Runestones. So I'm going to scroll down briefly, but like Romans, Persians, maybe like a Tatars or Malians. I guess there aren't that many civs left that are super good on the other maps, to be honest. A lot of them were banned out here, and then Yomi knocked 4 of them out up here. He gets the Turks as well. Oh boy. And he gets the Bulgarians. This is a smothering draft from Yomi. That is a bit cut off. Oh, you're right, it is. How did that happen? Alright, well, Nova sneaks the Romans at the end, which is really nice. But it's been a disaster otherwise. Double Spanish ban. I think arguably Berbers would have maybe been a better choice for Nova to snipe, but that's fine. Spanish is good too. This is good. This might be really rough. Bohemians are good. Georgians are good. Khmer are okay. Romans are good. Portuguese and Italians. I mean, I've seen both of those civs win in this tournament once, so maybe we can see them win a second time. This is a crazy draft for Yomi, though. All right. Well, whose draft do you think is better? Who do you think won the draft here? It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. All right. Set predictions. I actually might predict a 3-0 for Yomi. I'm gonna be honest. I'll say like a 3-1 for the sake of I don't like sweeps, so I will never predict a sweep. But I think I gotta predict a 3-1. Unfortunately. Georgians are still good, Romans are still good, Bohemians can certainly win against some of these civs, right? But even if the rest of the draft was really good for Nova, like, choosing Portuguese second, which is one of your first two mirror picks, just really collapses my confidence. And yeah, Nova's the SO player, right? So the bans by Yomi are planned. So do you think Nova won't be able to play the Bohemians or the Romans well because they don't have SO? Yomi may be the first lower div to win the playoff. Is that true? It's always been the higher division player winning so far that we've seen. I guess so. Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. All right. Well, see now, I am an unabashed Yomi fanboy, but now my bias towards the underdog, which is weird to call the higher seeded player the underdog, but I think it has to be with this draft. I might have to start rooting for Nova to get some wins on the board. So far, obviously, yeah. There are some we haven't seen yet, plenty more still to come, all that kind of stuff, so. Alright, we're starting out on Serengeti. What are we thinking? Probably one of these for Yomi. I'm gonna say Huns versus... Ooh, Georgians are probably better on Runestones and Aftermath. Maybe this is Bohemians. What are Nova's water civs gonna be? Is Nova gonna go Portuguese and Italians on the water maps? Surely not. I guess maybe Khmer can be immersion and you ignore the water. Oh gosh. True, yeah, the hills on Serengeti maybe are worth enough. I know I was just proven wrong in saying this, but I'm going to say it again that Serengeti usually is further away than those other two maps, so if you're going for an SO comp, I feel like it's not quite as good as on Aftermath or Runestones, but I suppose it all depends on how the map generates. Caravels? We might see a Caravel masterpiece. We've seen the Caravels be attempted a couple times throughout TDM 5 and 6. I can't remember if they've won yet, but maybe. All right, let's get into game one. Let's see. Yeah, Georgians are mobile for sure, but you want some mobility on those other maps too, right? Oh, and I need to do this. It's 4, right? All right. Welcome in. Game 1. Ooh, I did forget to do one more thing, which is my title. Yomi versus... What? Not that it matters that much, probably, but still. All right, welcome in. Game 1. Nova versus Yomi here in the battle to see who goes up or stays in Division 4 next season and who has to fight through Division 5 yet again. Yomi has gone for the Bulgarians here on Serengeti. It is the Bohemians for Nova, so I was 50% right, as is tradition. Let's see. Nova comes in with the light cav, is not going to find any villager kills, but does delay some of the Kreposts, at least. On the other side, Yomi also does not find very much value. So, Bohemians versus Bulgarians. We've seen this matchup multiple times this season, actually. It's an awkward matchup for the Bohemians, because they kind of have to make 3 different units. They're forced to make 3 different units at a pretty high volume to deal with siege, infantry, conics, cavalry, however you want to classify everything, right? So you kind of need you always need Halfnitsa and Halb, but then you also kind of need quite a few Hussite wagons or champions or something. It's awkward. It's awkward, but still doable for sure. Right. Let's see, Bulgarians. They do get Begains, but it's only two-handed swordsmen, right? So it's a bit of a give and take infantry-wise. I think it's still better. Well, it's pretty close, actually. I guess maybe the champions are still a little bit better. Is that true? They have less pierce armor, obviously, but straight up, are the champions just better? It doesn't matter. We're not going to see that many champion or two-handed swordsmen from Yomi. It's going to be mostly Conics and Siege Onagers. And, well, this is the difficult part, right? You need the Halbs to dismount the Conics, and then you need the champions to actually kill the dismounted Conics. So it's very awkward. And it requires a lot of stuff to come out of barracks for the Bohemians. Base is looking pretty good for Nova behind this, though. Players fighting over these middle hills. Conics will do quite well against the champions. So you do really need the Halbs in there to actually get the Conics off of their horses. And we haven't even gotten to the part yet where Nova's going to have to micro the Halfnitsa against the SO. Which is the other really tough part here. Krepost is denied off the hill, though, by the Halfnitsa. Here come the first SO. And it's a good start for the Halfnitsa, but here come the Conics, trying to work their way through these trees. They get in on the Halfnitsa. They get just one so far, I think. Maybe two. There's two more behind. But we've got hand cannons coming out now, Hussite wagons, stuff to try and deal with the infantry. It's not a bad fight so far for Nova. Villager count is higher for Nova. SO getting sniped out really nicely for Nova. This is something that needs to constantly happen. And it's difficult to do, but if you are able to do it, it feels very good for your civilization. More Conics flowing in. Is there enough Halb? I think there is. The Bohemian Halb do so much damage, right? And then what's the hand cannons and the Hussite wagons aren't terrible against the Conics mounted either. It's not ideal, but Halfnitsa taking out the TC and getting in some incidental damage against the Conics in the meantime. Champ for Nova is a mistake. Yeah, I think the champions were not actually providing that much value. So I like this composition now. It's a difficult one to balance correctly, right? If you have too few Halb, too many hand cannons, or the opposite, the fights start to feel pretty bad, but as long as you're able to maintain a decent mix of everything. 22 Halfnitsa, by the way. So, on the hill or not, these castles are not going to last very long at all. No crenellations, right? No hoardings, sorry, not crenellations. Obviously no crenellations, no hoardings, so they're not the beefiest castle in the world. But, where are the Halb? They're getting hit by the SO on the right-hand side, while the Halfnitsa get mowed into by the Conics. What did I say? 22 Halfnitsa, we're down to 10. SO are getting good shots. They are sniped out now, but there was simply not enough infantry on the field. There's that balance, right? Not enough Halbs for just 70 Conics rolling in. Everything gets cleared up for Nova. Did do some damage, right? Took out a castle, a Krepost, a TC. But this is going to be a big reversal for Yomi. How's the eco balance looking? It's okay on both sides. Going to need some food, Yomi is. So we're going to need to add in farms, and here they come down for Yomi. Great minds think alike. We're also going to need some siege. Yomi, following the trend of our Division 10 battle, has opted not for Trebs, but rather... Oh, actually can't opt for Trebs. It's all Krepos. One castle comes up for Yomi. It has to be Rams because all the stone went into the Krepos. Okay. That's going to stymie the push here for Yomi, which should allow Nova to get some military back out onto the field. I like the expansions over here for Nova. Good castle placements, kind of. Not on a hill, but there's not really a hill out here to put one on that feels very good. So I don't mind it that much. 44 mounted conics, 24 dismounted conics. Rams are here, but is now the time to move in with them. I think we need more SO. They are on their way. Eco's looking pretty solid for Yomi. He's going to have to get some vills on wood next. Bulgarians are pretty gold and food intensive composition with all the conics and whatnot, but you do need the wood for the siege. So hopefully Yomi realizes that before it runs out of wood. Yomi's selling wood even to buy more stone. Interesting. Nova's pop capped. Both players are pop capped actually. It's not very often you see players at this high of a division, both kind of like not taking fights at total population maxed out, but alright, let's see. Big shots into the hand cannons by the SO, but they all go down to the Hofnitsa. The Halb are fighting the dismounted conics instead of the mounted conics. Mounted conics are rolling through, sniping out more Hofnitsa. They're going to take out almost all of them. There's only 2 more still alive, and they also might be sniped out. 3 more alive now. Yomi wants a forward Krepost. Rams are here. They're going to take out... They've already taken out a lot, actually, but they're going to take out a castle. And I think Yomi's... I think Yomi's winning. I think he's won. I think Nova's dead. There's very little military left on the field. The Ram push comes in at a really good time. Rams are already kind of difficult for the Bohemians to deal with anyway. They need Onager or Champion to deal with them, which is not what they really want to be making. 3 castles go down for Nova at the front. Monastery is also in danger, but might survive. But I think we're just dead here, right? Got 5 Halbs and a Champion on the field. That's it. Really good patience by Yomi. Didn't dive with the military when he didn't have the siege, right? That's one of the big differences between the super highly rated players and the lower rated players is Yomi realized he needed to maintain his military while he got the siege out. Then he arrived all at once with everything, and this is the result. I would have been tempted. I would have been very tempted if I was Yomi to try to do damage before the siege got here, because he took such a decisive fight, and maybe he still could have pulled it off anyway to just dive in through the castles and everything and try to do like raiding damage, but I like what he's done. GG. Yomi takes game 1. Yeah, loading the dismounted conics into the Rams was also a giga brain play. He saved so many of them, right? He had like 20 to 30 dismounted conics back here after that big fight. Makes sense to load them up into the Rams. What a display by Yomi. Masterpiece. Yomi's a beast, man. Yomi is an absolute beast. This was a good fight for Nova, though. Nova played well. There was... Except for, like, you know, little things like maybe making too many champions early instead of transitioning into just, like, the gunpowder. Nova played this pretty well. So, Yomi's just an absolute beast. The Krepos everywhere, like, the map control for Yomi is crazy. He's got Krepos on every hill on the map, almost. Alright. Yomi and Jade are both top contenders for their respective divs next season. Yomi definitely could win. If he progresses to Division 4, I think Yomi has to be one of the favored people to win Division 4. He is an absolute monster and continues to improve, right? It's not just that he's a really good player, it's that he has gotten so much better in such a short period of time and probably still has space to improve, which is the especially worrying part. Bulgarians win over the Bohemians. Serengeti goes to Yomi, who was red? No, blue. And Yomi's on the board. Okay. And yeah, Jade also has improved a lot recently, right? Jade looked good, and the potential was clearly there for Jade. But really did some good work in Carry Me or Die, if I remember correctly, and has looked very good this season as well. LSD taught him everything. Hopefully not everything. But all right, let's see what map we got going next. That was a good start for both players, honestly. That made me a little more hopeful for the full series. We're going to Aftermath next. So, on Aftermath, I'm going to guess Georgians... Georgians versus what? The back end of Yomi's draft gets a little bit worse, right? Like, Turks on a land map are not super good. If we're going that route, Gurjaras are okay. But maybe not favored versus some of these civs. That's when Yomi's rise started. Well... Was that during Carry Me or Die? Or was that during TDM 5? Because Yomi got a lot better throughout TDM 5 as well, I would argue. I think Yomi improved a lot throughout TDM 5, just from like playing the game. But obviously, yeah, Yomi got a lot better again throughout Carry Me or Die, right? So that's kind of what happens when you have a really good RM player that doesn't know DM as well. Suddenly they get a captain who knows DM really well, and suddenly there you go. Oh, Carry Me or Die 1, he was his captain in. Oh. I didn't realize Yomi was around the DM scene for the first Carry Me or Die. Okay. That was before my time. Okay, that makes sense then. Oh, is Rodney also in Division 4? That's going to be a crazy... That's a crazy division. I've said this multiple times today, but it's going to be a crazy division, man. So Division 4 could theoretically end up being Yomi, Uladushek, Rodney, Huggy / Hamza, and Legend. That would be quite the interesting division. It sucks that Kingstone was so busy, or Division 4 would have been stacked. Yeah, I was really hyped for Kingstone. I was really hyped to see what Kingstone was going to do this season. And then he looked quite good in the one set he played. And then he was gone. So that's probably the saddest part of TDM 6 for me, was Kingstone not playing, but oh well. Alright, let's go to Aftermath, see what it is. Did I predict Yomi? I'm gonna say Turks, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Huns here, I don't think. And I did say Georgians for Nova. Alright, let's see. Welcome in game 2. Nova versus Yomi. We're here on Aftermath. It is indeed the Georgians for Nova, and it is the Huns for Yomi. Okay. Alright, Georgians versus Huns. Feels like it should be a pretty bad matchup for the Huns, I think, all things being equal. Nova going for the clump. Obviously, the Huns super fast as a civilization. They don't have to make the houses, so producing is very quick and easy. So we'll see if Nova's able to survive. Yomi is not necessarily the player I think of when I think of rushes, but he's not as slow as some of the other RM starting players, right? He's not like a King Stone who's like super slow. He's he can make it work. He can make it work. And the builds look super clean for Yomi. One barrack to get the Halbs out, couple stables to start pumping Paladin, and then it's the archery range transition for the Cav Archers. That's how you should do it. Can the castles complete in time? Yes, they can. The first castle completes. The second will also. So the Cav Archers maybe won't be able to snipe quite so many villagers quite so easily. Rack start for Huns isn't good. Is it not? I guess the Georgians probably aren't opening with cavalry here, but yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the barrack start is not needed for the Huns, right? You're the aggressor always, so you just want to go straight into the cavalry, probably, to go across the map as fast as possible. 55 to 25 military, but Nova's military should be better, right? Pretty much everything. I guess Cav Archers are better for the Huns, but that's about it. And Nova's making the automatic win unit that the Georgians have in the Manaspa. I think every single time I've seen a player make heavy Manaspa, they have one, which isn't saying that much because the Georgians win like 75% of the time or something crazy anyway. I don't remember the exact percentage, but Georgians are like the second highest win rate civ in the tournament. But still, when I see them lose, it's because they're not making Manaspa, so it is what it is. Yomi, not really being patient with this push, which you can do up to a certain point, right? He's still not pop capped, so, but he's going to be pretty soon. SO is out on the field for Nova. Nova is an SO guru, as we have said, so maybe feels a little bit more comfortable in this composition compared to the Hofnitsa. Yomi trying to get more castles up forward, but has to abandon that hill. He's just going to create a line of castles over the middle. Let's see. 88 Paladin, 67 Cav Archers. There's 50 Manaspa and 40 Halb, plus the SO. But the SO aren't getting great shots out. Okay, those are pretty decent into the Paladin. The Paladin have evaporated, but the Cav Archers are still alive. SO getting okay shots into the Cav Archers, but nothing tremendous. And Yomi's going to back up again. Still 50 Paladin on the field. Where are they? Okay, they're in the mix now. 80 Cav Archers. I mean, surely this is enough military to just force this fight, right? Even if it's not a good fight, you're still going to win it, right? Rams come in against the SO. Paladin come in against the SO. I don't think there's enough Halb on the field right now. I think Nova needs like 40 Halberdier at any given moment. But, well, the Paladin die again, but there's still some alive. They're sniping out the SO. There are Trebs behind, only 4, but they are taking out the castles slowly. Rams coming in, and yeah, I think Yomi has overwhelmed the Georgians here with the Huns. 150 military for Yomi on the field, only 30 for Nova. Castles are falling for Nova. And I was getting a little nervous for Yomi when he wasn't taking the fight early, but he realized his timing window was still open, right? A lot of players panic with these rushing civs, the Huns and the Kumans, and they think they have to go all out immediately and forevermore, or they die. Yomi realized he had some time to breathe. He still hasn't won, but castles continue to go down. Rams are going to push down another castle in the south. No castles means no Manaspa, which I think is something you need in this composition for the Georgians against the Huns. You can't... I don't think you can just go full Halb siege. But maybe you can, I don't know. TC is going to go down. This gold is heavily saturated. Hun Trebs sniping out some siege as well. There's only 34 Paladin left. But Nova's out of wood, which is kind of an issue. I don't think there's any way Nova can pull this one back. I really don't. Good shots into the Cav Archers, though. We're getting some Tarkins out on the field now for Yomi. The entire front of the base is completely barren for Nova. Huns have a 10-minute window. Okay. That does appear to be the case, because Yomi's kind of out of steam if he loses this army. 91 villagers for Nova still, although that's not going to be the case very soon. Oh my god. I'm glad I said how many villagers Nova had, because he's down to 60. He lost a third of his villagers in about 20 seconds underneath that castle. He does get the castle up, but now Yomi has a villager lead as well as still an overwhelming military advantage. Trebs are still alive, only 3 of them, but you can rain down on these Georgian castles. No hills in the base for Nova, so can't take advantage of that Georgian bonus. I can't imagine. Yomi's going to come in one more time. He has 2 more Trebs. If the castle goes down, I think Nova just has to call the GG, to be honest. He's got so many of his villagers repairing this castle because he knows he has to keep it up if he has any hope. It is Georgian, so you can repair a long time with the Georgians, but not quite that long. Nova has 7 Halberdier and a Dream. And, well, now it's 0 Halberdier, and I think it's 0 Dream as well for Nova. Really well played by Yomi. Didn't do a ton of damage in the opening rush, right? Nova defended the opening rush really, really well. He got the castles up, he clumped up. Like, I don't think he took any damage. But Yomi, with the forward castles, got his Trebs out, started pushing the old-fashioned way, and seems to have been enough. Nova's done a good job, to be fair. And Nova says, don't know why I lag when I micro. Maybe bug. Maybe it is a bug. But Yomi takes game 2. Up 2-0 over Nova. I'm not 100% sure. Trying to think. I didn't notice any atrocious micro there for Nova. I don't think this game was lost due to micro, but I guess, like, yeah, there were some, like, questionable SO shots, I guess. Does that I don't know if I would call that a lag issue, though. Nova's doing really well, but how to position micro seems to be odd. All right. Biggest SO shot? Hey, sometimes you just need a big SO shot. Doesn't matter what the recipient is. Certified Nova set? Yeah. It's been a rough one for Nova. It's all right. Yeah, I guess the Halbs were a little bit out of position a few times, which could be a lag issue, maybe. All right. Georgians lose to the Huns. That was the saving grace civilization for Nova. We were hoping for a win with them, if anything. But it's not going to happen. So the 3-0 maybe would have been a good guess. But let's see. We still have to play the games. It's going to be Shoals. Well, it's going to be Shoals. So how in the world does Nova win Shoals? It has to be Chinese versus Portuguese, I guess, right? That was the biggest SO shot in DM this year. There were a couple pretty big SO shots this year. I'll have to go back and look. I did not. I didn't totally clock the friendly fire SO shot. I was at the same moment. There were some other things happening in that fight, and also I'm blind, so it's a double whammy against me. Well, Nova has to win all of them, right? So I always advocate for going to the map you feel the worst in this situation. It depends on the player if you need the confidence boost. Runestones is probably the way, but it's going to be Shoals. I think it has to be Chinese versus Portuguese, which feels like it's going to be impossible to win for Nova. But, well, let's find out, I suppose. All right. Welcome in Game 3, potentially decider match here, Nova versus Yomi. We're on Shoals. It is indeed the Chinese for Yomi and the Portuguese for Nova. All right. All right. Feels virtually impossible for the Portuguese here, but let's see. They do still... They don't have a bad navy, right? They don't get fast fire ships. That doesn't really matter. They don't get shipwright, which kind of does matter. But there are... We'll see. Chinese are, in my opinion, far and away the best water civ in the game right now. In DM, at least. Spanish are arguably as good or better, but I think I prefer Chinese even over Spanish. I certainly prefer them over the Portuguese. Let's see. It's going to be straight Luchuan opening for Yomi. He gets a few demos out, but mostly he just wants to make these Luchuans. I don't know how the Portuguese deal with them. I guess you need to go demos, but without shipwright, you're producing the demos so slowly, it feels kind of tough. Portuguese may be good on land here. Yeah. Theoretically, I think the Portuguese should be better than the Chinese on land, right? So, I mean, Shoals has quite often come down to land, especially in the upper divisions. Because usually it's tough to fully control the water, so you end up, both players kind of end up not having control over the water. But I don't know if that will be the case here. I'm not sure the Portuguese can contest water at all against the Chinese, I'm going to be honest. The Caravels don't do well against the Luchuans, at least not in small numbers. Maybe if you can get a lot of them up, I don't know though. It's not a matchup I've seen a ton, to be fair. So maybe if you save enough Caravels, they can come in here and clear this up. Yomi expanding to the right and the left. Nova's going to be seconds away from denying this castle. That's unfortunate. And, well, might be able to deny the one on the right there. Nova trying to be patient with the Caravels, but I think he's going to just have to take this fight. And the demos get cleared up decently well by the caravels, to be fair. Well, it's okay. It's better than I thought it might be. So, you know what? Maybe it's okay. Maybe. Yomi's out here with a lot of Fire Lancers, which is risky bisky on the water against a Civ that gets heavy demo, but it is full Caravel production from Nova, no demos in the queue, so I guess it'll be alright for now. They actually should do quite well against the Caravels, I think, as far as surviving. I like the demos being mixed in by Yomi. I think just having a few demos out in front is always a good idea. Yomi's out of gold. Does have control over the sides, though, so should be able to get onto gold. Nova has gold, but does not really have gold access longer term. Chukanu and the Fire Lancers coming in on the left-hand side. They're going to deny the castle attempt from Nova. They're going to snipe down the Trebs as well. Bombard cannons on the water, I guess, can snipe out the Lushuans, but it's a little tougher against the demos. Okay, it's not the worst in the world. Nova's been filtering in a lot of units into this castle, but realizes and backs up now. Yeah, just losing all these docks, man. The Lushuans rip through the docks so quickly, it's so tough to maintain a water presence, I think. And, well, Nova is out of wood now. Classic Portuguese things. Still has 3k gold in the bank, but no wood. Trying to use the bombard cannons against the Lushuans to middling efficacy. Castle on the right-hand side. Might be able to get some gold control over there, but another castle should be denied by the Fire Lancers. All the docks are gone, so no more water for Nova, which means he's going to lose a lot of stuff here, actually. Multiple castles and town centers. Probably this castle is rangeable as well from the other side. Look at how fast the castles go down as well. This is the other thing about shoals, right? Like, when I say the water hasn't been... It's been more land-focused. Quite often, even if you kind of win water, you have like 3 or 4 cannon galleons. You can't just wipe out the entire... everything within range in the next few seconds, but the Lushuans do so much damage. And you have so many of them because they're also your galleon part of your army as well, right? So... they just do so much damage. They're going to take out the opening TC there for Nova, who has to start hugging the boundaries of the map with everything made. Oh, they can even arrange this castle. Disgusting. Yeah, I think Nova's just cooked here. Portuguese do not have what they need. Funnily enough, the organ guns actually are really good against the Lushuans because they're siege, which makes the Lushuans use the cannonball or the trebuchet shot rather than the arrows, but they don't have ballistics on that shot. They have ballistics on the arrows. One of those weird things. Alright, well, Yomi is at 144 villagers. He has full control over both gold sides. Nova has a pretty decent economy as well. Also, Nova is the Portuguese, so maybe we'll see my first ever Feitoria DM experience here pretty soon. I don't know. Who needs gold? Why do you need gold piles when you're the Portuguese? You can simply make Feitorias, it's fine. You don't need map control. You don't need access to gold. You don't need relics. Surely it's fine. Spanish and Chinese are 2 civs you ban immediately with shoals, and you should. Unfortunately, Yomi got both of those civs. So Nova could not ban out both of them. He could only ban out one. Okay, Organ Guns kind of putting in the work. Chinese Cavalier, probably not ideal. I did say they can even range this castle, bro. They can, indeed. I said they might be able to, and they can. So tough. I do think the Portuguese are better than the Chinese on land. I just don't know if it matters anymore. This castle will be denied. That's something. And the push is occurring on the left. The Lushuan trying to get in on the fight, but unfortunately they have not figured out how to walk across the land just yet. What is the composition that the Chinese even have against this? Lushuan should get bodied, or not Lushuan, sorry, Chukanu should get bodied by both of these things. Not if you're not paying attention though. No, Nova. We needed to be watching. Another patrol into a decent shot. Not as big as the one in the previous game, but rocket carts get pretty good shots into the organ guns. And, well, Cavalier show up to clean up, but tough. Nova was probably looking over here, trying to save the siege on this side, which also does not happen. Cavalier actually is a good switch here for Yomi, with Nova only making the siege. Theoretically, like, the Halb will do very well against the Cavalier, but if you don't have Halb, does not matter. And Nova's getting butchered on land and has to call the GG. Yomi takes it 3-0. Nova patrol stacking more than Nate. Yeah, it was Nat as well, wasn't it, that we were talking about the patrol stacking? Oh well, maybe DM is not ready for patrol stacking just yet. It's the ultimate display of why patrol stacking in DM doesn't need to be banned. Yeah, there are simply too many SO and rocket carts and everything else on the field in DM, right? Yeah, Nova wasn't even patrol stacking into the fight though. He was just or with a melee unit, which is why you would ever do it. He was just kind of doing it over on the side here. You don't need to do that with ranged units. They kind of do that all on their own.